there is some interesting news, definitely from a financial perspective. Our friends at The Athletic did a nice little explainer regarding the salary cap and the operating budget for every club in La Liga for the new season. And when you look at the very top, it's Real Madrid, who have let me just lean in here, 739 euros, I believe. That's an over 270 million euro increase. And then when you look all the way down to Barcelona, who are at 97 million. Obviously, when you think about these operating budgets, they're done in order to create some kind of balance, and they're judged based on debt, the money that you bring in, the money that comes out, etc. So Barcelona, no secret, right? The fact that, financially they were a mess. That's why Messi isn't here in the first place. So I wanted to just open it up. Heath, I wanted to open it up in terms of a financial perspective. Real Madrid, who wanted the Super League, who wanted all these things, they look pretty healthy in terms of their operating budget. And then Barcelona, 97 million for a club like Barcelona. By the way, Valencia being the one at the very bottom with 31 million, which is like, what, Ronaldo's pocket money, like for a weekend? I don't know. Heath, what do you make of this?
Yeah, it's tough, but these financial regulations are coming in play, obviously, on the back of a pandemic where teams were hit really hard and there was just sort of frivolous spending from a number of these clubs. We continue to see a lot of the super clubs find loopholes in the financial fair play system. It's up to these leagues now, because if you look at the way that most of these leagues have sort of the pie of the media dollars, right? The money that's coming in from international and domestic TV contracts, it goes sort of the lion's share to the couple big clubs. And then it breaks down to where a lot of the smaller clubs, you see, especially like in Italy, very few teams ever stay up after promotion. They typically go back down again because of just the division of that resource.
Yeah.
To create these mechanisms, I think, is really important for the sustainability of the clubs. Obviously, it makes it a little bit less sexy, but because of that sort of wild spending, it forces the global transfer market through the roof. When you have the ability to do anything and everything. And we're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars spent on players. So to do that, you're being forced to actually be accountable for your actions as a club. You don't get to have 4 managers on your payroll that you've paid for the last 10 years without some sort of implications, right? You have to roll in all of these sort of debt to income ratios that keep them a little more honest. Unfortunately, it's sort of what happened when the Ranger situation happened, where somebody just decides at a certain point, hey, we're going to clean this up. And then the team that's in the worst shape at that moment is the team that gets hit the hardest. And they've all gone through their own periods of tough financial shape. But the pandemic amplified that. And as La Masia started producing less players and they started bringing in more players into the club, there was this increase in spending that now I think Barcelona is going to struggle with. But Real Madrid, I think, are set up really well for the future. And again, if you're out there recruiting for your next team, Real Madrid are set up to have the ability to kind of run this league for the next years.
I mean, all I would say is don't forget, there's no reason to be sympathetic to Barcelona here. I mean, as Heath said, everything stopped at just the wrong moment. But in the end, they had a decade where they had every possible advantage you could have. They had the most marketable player in the world, except maybe Ronaldo. They are Barcelona. You see their shirt anywhere you go in the world. And then they had a huge cash windfall for Neymar, which they completely wasted. This is not European football or La Liga conspiring against Barcelona. This is Barcelona conspiring against themselves.
What I would say really quick is after buying Eden Hazard from from Chelsea then went on that they got that transfer ban, right? And they couldn't spend. And it was really interesting because I think Florentino Perez was taking notes that what ended up happening after that time where they couldn't buy any players, they got to have a whole bunch of money to spend on once that transfer ban ended to get a whole bunch of players. I mean, it was Havertz, Ziyech, Werner. I mean, it was crazy how many players they got to bring in because they got forced to be patient. And I think Florentino Perez was watching that. Listen, we overspent probably on Eden Hazard. And now, we got some money for Ronaldo, but this was just something I think he paid attention to. And in stark contrast to what Barcelona's doing, it feels like Florentino Perez has a plan. Now, it could be an evil plan like the Super League, but, there's also, he's got ideas and thoughts. And now they're in a great position to potentially sign Erling Haaland and Kylian Mbappe this upcoming transfer window, which would be insane. So fair play for Real Madrid for putting themselves in that position.